Hey guys, and welcome to another live wood turning. If you've been following me on the live wood turning that I've been doing here lately, I'm just doing Christmas ornaments. So basically, a guy here in town gave me some wood from older buildings here and wanted me to make some Christmas ornaments out of them. So that's what I've been working on. The first several videos I've made are actually from a building called Carr Steakhouse. There was some type of damage to it, so a portion of it got tore down, and so that's where I got the wood from, essentially. The wood that we're using today, if you've seen yesterday's live broadcast, was I showed you this giant chunk of wood I had. He had given me this piece of wood from Mayfield's oldest, or one of the Mayfield's oldest buildings. This was actually a pre-Civil War house. So it used to sit up on the court square on the south side, I believe, and they rolled it down to its 7th Street location, and they rolled it that way on logs all the way down the street into where it used to sit. And back in 2013, we lost the house. I'm not 100% sure what happened to it, but it apparently got tore down and everything. So along with that, we lost Mayfield's oldest building, or one of Mayfield's oldest buildings. So all we got left is just a few chunks of wood here and there, as far as I'm aware. And so he gave me a chunk of it and said, "Here, make some Christmas ornaments." So that's what we're working on now. So that's pretty neat that I get to work on a different building. So anyway, let me get the camera set up, and here we go. I actually just did a Facebook Live video of turning one of these just a minute ago. I wanted to try that out. I've never done a live video on Facebook before. But I don't know if this is the one I made while I was doing the live yesterday, but it's one I made yesterday. That's from Carr's Steakhouse. And this one is as well. I've only made a couple out of this new wood that I've got here. This one here is from Carr's Steakhouse. I made it yesterday. I believe this one was on the live video as well. And this is the one we just did on the Facebook live video. I try to stick to pretty simple ones whenever I'm doing live videos if you've watched them before. So that's our game plan. We'll do a fairly simple design. Now, this wood is a lot older. Some of it's really tough. Some of it's really what they call punky, which would be really soft wood. And a lot of it, like you can see right here, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there are actually a lot of bug holes all through here. There's a bunch of little bitty pinholes that are just filled back in with sawdust, basically, is what it is. So you've got to watch out for stuff like that. And since it was a giant chunk, there was actually several nails in it, and I'm talking old nails. I'll grab one here and show you. I mean, there wasn't much left of it. This is actually one of the square nails. I'm assuming it was like handmade back in the pre-Civil War time, of course. So it was pretty neat. But a lot of these are deteriorated like severely inside this wood. So I go to try and pull them out, and they end up just breaking off. I was hoping to get a whole nail. That'd be kind of neat. But oh well, this is the biggest chunk that I actually got. The rest of them are little bitty chunks. But yeah, so I've had it's a little bit more brittle than the other wood I've been turning, so I've got to be a little more careful with it. It's splintering off a lot more, so it's going to take a little more finesse, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it quite as thin as I got the other stuff before. So we'll see how things work out on all that. But I'll still try and get it fairly thin, because honestly, I just think it looks a lot better that way. All right, so before we get started turning, I'm going to make sure this is good and tight. We're not going to keep the tailstock there for very long. We pretty much just got it there to line it up. And I also use it a little bit to take down some of this wood in the beginning, and then I just get it out of the way. All right, let me get my safety glasses and face shield on, and dust mask, of course. All right, so I've been basically just making it up as I'm going. I mean, I end up doing better that way anyway. If I plan it out, it ends up completely different than the way I planned it anyway, because the wood kind of determines how it's going to work, what all kind of flaws you run into and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just get started and see where we can get to. Looks like we got chunks of wood just kind of flying off here, so we got to be real careful with it. I just sharpened this tool right beforehand, so it's just kind of splintering off a little bit just because it's older wood. But we'll make it work one way or another. We got a couple little chunks missing there, so we'll take that down just a little bit further. There we go. That's a lot better. I'll go ahead and sand this down real quick before we get too far, because this wood is a lot more brittle than the other stuff was. So. All right, here we go. That's not too bad. Only thing is, these ornaments are just slightly shorter than the other ones, so the designs I was doing before don't quite work out the same. But that's all right. We'll make them work either way, huh? All right, that's a crack. Okay. All right. Now the last thing we're going to do is go ahead and get this and part it off. I did just see where a comment popped up. I'll check those here in just a minute. Unlike the majority of people that do live videos that are watching the screen, I can't actually see the screen very well. So I apologize for not being able to get back to the comments right away. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this down just a little bit and be a little more careful than I was on the last video on Facebook. Oh, Lord. Just yeah, I can't think to talk right now, but my tool kind of slipped on me, and instead of getting it thinner up here, it ended up catching right up here, so I had to change up the top a little bit, but it wasn't too big a deal. Just got to take my time. All right. All right, now we're going to sand the top a little bit. And we're going to put a little finish on it. This is the wood butter I always put on the top of these because it's easier to apply instead of having to rub that paraffin wax in really, really hard. All right, so here's our final ornament here. If I can hold on to it. Well, with this wood, there's not quite as many really cool defects in it, but this is a just really cool wood in itself because, like I said, this is the oldest or one of the oldest buildings in Mayfield, Kentucky, and was since it got tore down. So it's pretty neat to be able to make these because, I mean, this wood was cut down. It was hand hewn, or however you say that. You know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. But anyway. But yeah, it was made back before the Civil War. So, I mean, this is just really neat wood to be able to work with. It's really, really old, obviously. So it's a little bit brittle. It's really dry. And so it doesn't turn quite as well as I thought it was going to. I figured it'd cut like butter like that other stuff did. But it's actually a little bit tougher in a lot of spots. So, but yeah. So there's that one. Let me check these comments real quick. And if we have enough time, I may go ahead and do another one if y'all want to stick around for it. Let's see here. I'm going to have to move the camera here. Sorry, y'all going to have to look at my ugly mug. Trying to figure out how to read these comments real quick. Hope your tasty cook. Where'd it go? Oops. Awesome. Hey, I'm glad the flute's still working for you, man. That's cool. That's cool. All right. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and get another one set in place here. Kind of got to watch it here. My camera moved on me a little bit last time, it looked like. So my camera angle is a little askew. That looks pretty well. Pretty good there. All right, I got another piece right here. So, like I was saying a while ago, the only reason I really use the tailstock once I get it to this point, what I do is I cut it all into square blanks, and then I take the time to go through and mark each side on both sides here to find the biggest part of the mass of the center. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't talk very good, so I apologize. But yeah, so I use this tool right here. It's a center finding jig. And even if you don't have even corners, it really helps you out a lot because you get four lines, and then you just kind of find the center of that. Well, so most of the time it's an actual square right in the center there, and I use an awl to poke a hole there, so that way I can line up my points here. Yeah, having a lot of trouble talking today. I apologize. That's why I don't do much talking while I'm doing live video right here. Oh Lord. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the way I've been doing it. So I got all these done today. I cut them all up yesterday, and the block was so big I actually had to use the chainsaw to get them down to the size that I could use my table saw with, because I couldn't nothing I had would cut that thick, and I didn't actually measure how thick it was or anything like that, but I had a pretty good sized chunk and ended up getting, I think, 18 or 19 pieces out of it or something like that. So yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I did that, and I went ahead and turned all these round today just to save some time, because the way I've got to do it, I've got to set it between centers. So I've got a different piece here. This is called a spur, and basically it's got this little point on the top here, and it's got these little I don't know what you want to call these things, but they dig into the wood. I actually have to hammer it into the wood to get a really good connection. So basically what I had to do is I had to get that set up. Every time I had to do one of these, I had to hammer it into the back here, line up my center, and then turn most of it round and everything. And the reason I had these odd shapes like this is because there's a lot of cracks through this wood because it's really old. And like I said, it's pretty brittle. I actually had several of them just kind of have chunks just fly off at me as I was cutting it. So it's a little dangerous. But if you do it properly, you don't have to worry about it. I normally just stand over to the side here and cut at an angle that way it's shooting past me and not going to hit me. Because otherwise, yeah, it's not a fun day if you get hit in the head with a piece of wood. Little wood is not that big a deal. I've been hitting the head with half a bowl before. That's no fun. I guess that's the price you pay whenever you use older wood. There's a mosquito. Anyway, back to wood turning. Let's get back to what I'm doing so I can stop talking. But yeah, so I've got it thinned down. The biggest part's here in the center, so it's going to be pretty well the same shape as the last one, because I'm going to have to turn down to get rid of this flat spot here, and I've got a flat spot on this side as well, but I normally thin that down pretty good anyway. But yeah, that's the reason these are a little bit different than the other ones before. Most of the other ones were actually mostly round, which was awesome. But hey, you get what you get and you work with what you got, right? All right. right, that edge here is a little bit rough. I'm trying to decide if I want to sand it out or if I want to try and change the shape of it a little bit. We're going to try sand it out. Since it's already pretty fragile right in here, we got to be careful how much pressure we put on this side or it could mess it up. I guess I'm done with that one. All right. All right, that don't look too bad. I tell you what, the way this is setting, depending on how much I got to take out here, I may try and do a radius here and just do a like a round section here. I like those. They look really neat. They don't always work out the way I want them to, but I always try because it's fun. Got to try to make something a little more challenging and look a little better anyway. Radius are not easy to do. A good radius. Anyway, to make this look decent here, I'm going to try and, let's see here. Looks like about right here, maybe. Oop, there went my lid. All right, so to have a good radius, I should be able to stop it right there. That'll be my tapering point. We'll see how that works out. All right, so there's a crack here. So I'm hoping that doesn't try and come loose on me, but that don't look too awful bad. We'll probably stick with that. If I keep going, I'm going to make it thinner and thinner. It won't be as cool. So let's go ahead and sand that section, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do up here. What do you guys think about that so far? Look pretty all right. I like the rounded parts like that. That's always pretty neat. They're just a lot harder to do, of course. Okay, so now let's figure out how we want to end this one. I think a chunk. Yep, a chunk come out of that one. There, good. All right, now we got to change that. Gotta love when that happens. Oh well. Proceed with the change. Yeah, got to go down a little further. All right. Not a big deal. All right, let's see here. We got some wormholes right up underneath here, but that'll be all right, I believe. I don't know. It may end up looking better than what it was going to look. So we'll see how it turns out here. It's fairly smooth, actually. We'll just throw some finish on it and part it off. All right, so here's our second one. Come out pretty neat. Like I said, there's these wormholes that are in a lot of this. That's that discolored section up here. What it is the worms kind of went through here and they filled it back in with sawdust and stuff. You can actually pick it all out. I've done it on a lot of projects, but it takes a lot of time to sit there and pick all the little wormholes out. Sometimes it comes out pretty neat, and sometimes you're just wasting your time. So since I'm trying to get these done, I want to just go ahead and leave them alone and let that wax kind of seal it in. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this this live video. If you did, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll probably be putting some more out. Just depends on how many more blanks I've got. I've got quite a few, so I'll probably do one at least tomorrow and possibly the next day if you want to come back then. And it'll probably be around 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that, or around the same times today. It kind of depends on how things progress during the day, basically, and how quick I get to it. But anyway, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.